Today we're going to watch and evaluate a speech by Doug Ford, the newly elected progressive conservative leader of Ontario. The newly elected, let me start over, the newly elected leader of the Progressive Conservative Party of Ontario. I think that's the correct way to say it. By watching this speech, we'll see what Doug Ford does well in his speech and which elements really need some work. And hopefully that will be able to help you in your next presentation that you have to do. All right, let's dive right in. Here is Doug Ford.
Party leadership, and the next premier of Ontario is Doug Ford.
So, a very good presentation, an introduction to the speaker. The crowd is on its feet. The crowd is very happy to be there, very glad to be to finally have a new leader in their party. So, let's see how Doug Ford reacts to this reaction. Boy, what a crowd. Okay, it could have been a little more original.
Thank you for coming tonight. Tonight, we took the first step in defeating Kathleen Wynne. The people of Ontario want the Ontario Liberals gone.
All right, so is it just me, or does Doug Ford look really uncomfortable here?
I know that many of the party members
He's reading a lot, his notes.
Been let down for this process. Those who participated and those who weren't able to participate.
But here's where the speech is good. Listen to this rule of three. There are a lot of work ahead of us. We have a lot more work to do, and
we have a lot to do,
we have a lot more to do. So the rule of three, very well, good triad, very well used.
Back on track. We will put a platform forward that speaks to every Ontarian.
His eyes are always on the lectern. So here you will hear the only sentence where he looks at the audience for the full sentence. Here it is.
Ontario will be open for business.
It's also the only part in his whole speech where he shows his hand, where he has a gesture.
For the support and the confidence of the PC members, we're going to spend the coming weeks getting our party in fighting shape.
So the problem with always reading is that we don't see your eyes, and the eyes are the way for us to know if you are sincere. We can see if you're truthful by looking at us.
I want to thank my beautiful wife Carla.
Now here's an important part in the speech where he thanks the people close to him, his family, including his late brother Rob Ford. So here is a part of the speech where he shows his more human side, is more emotional. I think his voice begins to shake, and he sounds very sincere when he talks to the people.
Very humbled by your support. You are the ones who kept me going.
Right there.
You are the reason I am here. I will also.
Are his eyes watering a little bit? Maybe. It's hard to know because his eyes are always on his notes.
In the Caroline and Christine, we all fought hard, every one of us. And I can assure you.
Now see the difference here, where he's looking at the audience. I paused it at the wrong time, eh? But here, so it's another element of the speech where he's looking at us, and now he's not reading his notes, and it may be because he is improvising at this particular point in the speech. And it's, I believe, one of the best parts where he's just talking to the audience. Unfortunately, at the last word, he's looking down.
And I can tell you, as you saw, this was not an easy race.
So here we will see the other part in the speech where he has a rule of three, another triad.
And I will have much more to say in coming days.
Right here.
But to the party members, I say thank you. To the people of Ontario, I say relief is on its way.
So before going to the number three, here, you notice how there's the audience reaction. This is one of the best reactions of his whole speech, and he's just looking down. One of the things that you can due to improve your public speaking, you can double the impact of your public speaking is just by acknowledging your audience when they have a reaction. If they laugh, smile with them. If they applaud, smile and acknowledge. If they are gasping, react with them so that you are in sync with your audience. It's the same thing if you're speaking with just one person, you'll be the same thing, right? You'll do the same thing. If you tell a joke and someone laughs, you will laugh with them, or at least smile and acknowledge their reaction. You should do this with an audience as well. And this is what Doug Ford needs to learn to do. So we were saying rule of three. We said 2, and here's the third one, which will end his speech.
And to Kathleen Wynne,
Number 3.
I say your days as premier are numbered.
So here I have to go back because this is he knows what he's going to say, but it's like he's relying on his notes even when he knows it's not the first time that he's thought about saying this to the current Premier of Ontario.
When I say your days as premier are numbered.
So he's always looking down.
And
I say Kathleen Wynne, looking down, I say
your days as premier are numbered.
So we'll end the speech there. So what we can learn from this particular speech is, first of all, I have to acknowledge that this speech is well crafted. It has all the important elements in less than 4 minutes. He's talking about his family, his party members, his supporters, his opponents in the race. He's very briefly talking about what he wishes to do for the province and what he wishes for the current Premier of Ontario. So it's a well-crafted speech. All the elements are there, and it's well structured. And 2 times we have the rule of 3, and this is very, very good technique in public speaking. Unfortunately, I feel that all of the impact is lost by Doug Ford looking at his notes all the time. So here's a good lesson for you. Not only should you not it's okay to read as long as you've got more. There has to be a balance between looking down and looking at your audience. You should be looking at your audience much more than at your notes. What Doug Ford has done here is a lost opportunity to show sincerity. It's especially when you're thanking someone. If you say, let's say your coworker does something for you, will you go to them and say, okay, thank you very much. I appreciated what you did for me. It will be very good for me. No, it doesn't show your appreciation as much as you look at them in the eye. And even if you've got a speech and you don't think your words are perfect, if you don't use as I'm doing now, right? If you don't have the perfect words, at least you will show that you mean them when you look in the eyes of the people to whom you're talking. Imagine that you're speaking to one person, you will look at them in the eyes, right? It's the same thing with public speaking. If you're speaking to one person, or if you're speaking to 100 or 1,000 people, look at your audience. Well, I hope that this was useful to you. Oh, excusez-moi. I hope that this was useful to you. And if you would like to have more, well, I plan on making more. This was the first in a series, and next week or next time we will be able to see another speech from another leader of a provincial party. Stay tuned.